So it's Sunday morning in the garden. I have not harvested yet because it's been raining. So let's go see what things will look like today. The long beans here are most definitely in need of harvest. I'll get to that. But I did get out here long enough to see that something ate my tomato. I'm so upset. I made a mess while they were at it. I'm hoping it's a rabbit because I really don't want to be dealing with rats still. But I still have lots of tomatoes out here. I also have a lot of yellow leaves because of all the rain that needs to be taken care of. But I can't do it while the tomato plants are still wet. It just risks spreading the fungal disease further. And I'm not sure if we can see it from this side, but there is, let's see, where'd he go? I saw him. There he is. Look, I got a little bitty tiny watermelon starting. That's my first one. So excited. And got the purple long beans over here and cucumbers. I have to get in here and harvest some cucumbers. I've been getting like 1 to 3 cucumbers every day. I've pawned some off on people already because we just don't eat a whole lot of cucumbers. But I'm probably going to have to break down and make some pickles. I need to, and by the way, I hate these things. I think those are cucumber beetles. And they just want to die anyway. I hate them. They're all over the place this year. The kale's got to go. We had some Friday night and it was bitter. But my friend with the chickens is in California this week. So I'm going to wait till she gets back so I can bring her kale for her chickens. And is this a plant? It is. I've got a volunteer coming up over here. Probably a cucumber. Let's see if we can get that to tuck in there. And of course, potatoes need to be harvested, but I don't want to do that while the ground is wet. Probably this afternoon I'll pull a few of these for dinner tonight. And over here, I want to point out we've got a lot of female flowers coming up on my butternut squash, but there's no males to pollinate them. I have no idea what's going on. This is very backwards. Usually I get the males first and then start getting females, but there's tons of females. I'm going to hope these little bees that are enjoying this are maybe having some access to some male flowers somewhere else. Who knows? Probably not. I am probably not going to get any squash off these until some males start blooming. Of course, we still have more tomatoes forming. This is that Tramontino squash. It has not grown much yet, but it had a little bit later start. And we have eggplant. Pretty excited about the freaking eggplant. I wish it'd grow faster because I really want some eggplant. But I couldn't because I had a kale plant here. Look at the root on that kale plant. I cut that thing off and it was 5.5 pounds of a single plant. So yeah, I need to of course add some compost or garden soil on top of that to cover it so it will nicely rot in the ground. And of course the zinnias are overtaking. I probably put too many zinnias in the ground. Oopsie. I've been trying to cut them back at the base. Not helping much. But the African blue basil has been loving this area as well. I've got some ground cherries tucked in there, but something's eating them before I get any of them, which kind of sucks. And we have peppers. So these are these mini sweet peppers. I had saved the seeds from a package of peppers I bought at Costco, and they have been wonderful. I've already harvested one, and have a lot more. And I've got some jalapenos on several plants. This is a paprika. I think tonight we're going to have a stuffed jalapeno. I've harvested quite a few already, and they're in the fridge. And I've harvested some paprikas on another plant the other day. This one's probably going to be ready soon. By the way, the African blue basil. If you can get some, I highly recommend this. It makes the most wonderful tea. I mix it with my lemon balm, or sometimes just have it by itself. It is so good. It's got a kind of a clovey flavor to it. I've put it in pesto, but only like a small quantity with the rest of my sweet Genovese. It is a sterile variety, so you're not going to be able to get seeds for this, but you can, if you know someone who has a plant, and get a cutting, or can find a plant to buy. I highly recommend this. It is also not cold tolerant. While it is a perennial, you will have to bring it indoors. I have put mine in the ground, as you see, but I have made a few cuttings that I'm trying to propagate to bring inside for winter. Yes, I'm already thinking that far ahead. We're in early June, and this is what I'm thinking about. I got bell peppers here, and I've got bell peppers hiding into the zinnias. I have gotten a few off these plants. I do need to cut the zinnias back dramatically. They've been making some lovely cut flowers in the house. There is my bolting lettuce. I'm going to go ahead and let that go to seed. Here's the other paprika peppers. I harvested like 4 off this one already. And I need to dehydrate them so that I can grind them up. But I've been using my air fryer for a dehydrator so far this year. At this point, I probably need to bring out my big dehydrator and start using that, because between dehydrating rose petals and lavender and strawberry hulls, my dehydrator, the air fryer runs 24/7 around here. And I've not been able to get the paprika peppers in the ground. Here's my little stool I sit on while I harvest beans. And I got about a pound yesterday. I've gotten anywhere between 4 ounces to a pound a day. Every 3 days I process them. They either freeze a couple of pounds or I cook them for dinner. Because if I try to feed my family more than once a week of green beans, they will probably revolt, even though I grew up having green beans every day during the summer. Yeah, these were, once again, these were not seed that I bought. This was little red beans I bought at Costco. I love the beans for cooking. And I just brought some out here and planted them. I did that last year. They produce better than the pinto beans I used to use. Also, don't buy seeds for that. Bought grocery store pinto beans. These are wonderful green beans. And when I get tired of harvesting, I just let them dry on the plant and give me some dried beans. Not a lot, but it's certainly enough for seed for next year. These are a very economical way of growing some green beans, because seed packets can get expensive. I mean, you're looking at $3 to $6 a package, and you can go buy a bag of beans for, $1 or $2 a pound, which is more beans than you need if you're just going to grow green beans. This is wonderful, and these make really good green beans. I'm hearing something. Oh, I'm hearing birds. Okay, the bird's eating on the bird feeder. It was a little concerning. And, I have a volunteer potato here. I think maybe I'd left when I tried doing fall potatoes last year and it didn't work out. I'm thinking one of them did, which means it's probably a Norland red potato. We'll find out when I harvest it next week. And then grass is encroaching on here. I've got shallots here. This is where the onions were. I'm going to put in my Roma tomatoes next month. I've started seed for them though. And this is my back fence. Zinnias, grapes, asparagus, a few peppers in pots, and some blueberries in pots over there. I've got a half whiskey barrel to plant up one of them that I got from a Take a Plant, Leave a Plant group. There's also lots of basil, and I've got my Greek oregano here. I did not harvest my asparagus this year intentionally. I plan to start harvesting next year. And I pulled that grass. I pulled grass yesterday. We've had so much rain that the grass is just overtaking. I'm not sure how to keep this out at this point. I just pull every day and hope for the best. And this volunteer zinnia, let me see if I can get over here past the asparagus, is growing in the middle of the pathway. I still haven't decided to pull it yet. I know I'm going to have to before it gets too much bigger, but since it's growing between bricks, it is more stunted than those zinnias. I feel like we've hit the jungle stage of the garden. Can you see that? Is that not gorgeous? And of course, this is the blackberries. I'm very excited. They're growing quite vigorously. Of course, I keep coming in and like pinching off the tips to encourage them to bush out. But I've got a lot more new growth than I have last year's growth, so that means I'll hopefully have more berries next year than I've gotten this year. I am still getting berries though. This is the Arapaho variety. Next to it we have the Chester, which hasn't started blooming yet, and then the Triple Crown, which isn't supposed to produce until August. So yeah, we're getting a nice little steady supply of blackberries. I've been freezing them because they're very tart. I think probably because my soil is alkaline. I've been freezing them. They'll make a lovely either jelly or cobbler. I haven't decided which. I think my wife is hoping I'll do a mix of blackberry and fig, because the figs are the Celeste figs. Sometimes people call them sugar figs. They're very, very sweet, and the tartness of the blackberries we think might work well with that. And here's some more eggplant. I think I've got a total of 5 eggplants in here with 3 different varieties. 2 I started from seed, and 1 I got at that Denton Master Gardener plant sale. And here's that butternut squash from the other side. And yeah, as you can see, lots of female flowers, or starts of female flowers. I'm not seeing any males yet. And this, I'm gonna have to cut this back, I think. I've been using them for some cut flowers. This is that Bells of Ireland. Now, they are pretty whenever after it's dried out, but they are so weighted down from all the rain we've gotten that it just looks like this mass. But I will cut them and strip the lower branches and use them for cut flowers with my zinnias. And that's pretty much all I've got growing for cut flowers. The occasional dahlia from the front yard. And we have grow bags. You see all these grow bags down here? These are my French fingerling potatoes. I'll start pulling those next month. I figure I've got enough for June of my Yukon Gold, although I do need to get those out so I have room for my sweet potatoes. And my intention originally for these was to put in cucumber, but I honestly don't know if I'm going to have enough room for cucumber once that comes out. Oh, that's my Texas tarragon being overwhelmed by Bells of Ireland. And I've got bee balm over here. I'm not 100% sure what this is. It's some sort of flower. We're going to gonna find out when it blooms. It might be milkweed. I don't know. In a little while I'll pull out my plant identification thing because I don't think that's something I've actually planted. We'll go with wildflower. It's a wildflower. I've got some more beans over here, but between the fence being here and the beans being here and the tomatoes being here, they don't have really enough sun to produce beans. It had done well last year because I'd had the melons here and they grew a little slower. I also just planted them out later than I do my tomatoes. And what the fudge? Look at that. How disgusting. He must die. I think this is one of the things that's been eating my tomatoes. I've been finding, let's see, get that in there. These things on the tomato plants themselves. And with holes in and they're only going after my mortgage lifter tomatoes. He's going to have to die now. Ugh, gross. And you can see I've got the fungal disease coming here. But once it dries out enough that I can get in here and not risk spreading it from touching it and making the situation worse, I'll cut some more back. And then I have some basil tucked in there. Can you see that? Yeah. Huge basil plant actually back there. And another one of those cucumber beetles. Oh, he's gone before I could squish him. Oh, there's several of them over here. And my chamomile, they seem to bloom later in the day, and I'll come out and harvest. I'm filling an 8-ounce jar, and it's almost half full with dried chamomile flowers. But I'm sure my wife is very excited about these. She likes fried green beans, and these are the ones I use for that. I also use them in stir fry. And the bush ones that I'm growing from the red beans, I use those to just cook up in a pot and have just some normal cooked green beans. And moving over here, we have, oh look, more beans. This is the same variety that's growing on the other side. Also hasn't really started producing yet. But these were a little mottled colored dry bean that someone in my Master Gardener class gave me, and I put them out, and they produce these really, they don't put like too many beans per pod, but they get really plump really fast. And we've got cardinal basil here. That's another one I propagated from a workshop last fall and then put it in the ground this spring. I've got some Thai basil here. There's another kale plant over here that needs to die. They're just too bitter right now. And some more sweet Genovese basil that's trying to bolt. I'll eat the flowers and everything. It's fine. And then over here, so this was supposed to be cucumbers. Ignore the cardboard there. We're doing something. And I'd had potatoes in it. I thought I got them all. I planted some cucumber seeds. The cucumbers did nothing, but then I got another potato sprouting out of it. So that should be like a French fingerling. We'll see. The lemon balm. Look how much lemon balm there is. I have cut so much back. I have harvested all I probably need for the year for tea. I've given some to my friend for her chickens. I'm about ready to start trying to pawn it off onto other people. Maybe I'll take it to my coworkers when we have our meeting next month. But yeah, this is just so much lemon balm, but it smells so nice, so I'm not upset about it. This is getting a little crowded here around my poor apple tree. We have volunteer sunflowers. We've got volunteer zinnias, because I had zinnias here last year. We got lemon thyme, pineapple sage. Oh, how much rain did we get last night? Almost 2 inches, but 1 3/4. Let's see. That's, by the way, a lot of rain for June here. And we've been getting rain every few days. I'm hoping that when it decides it's going to stop, that my plants don't die. One year I planted raspberries. It was like the 1st of May. And I just finished planting and it started to rain. And we had this drizzly rain all through May. I mean, it didn't stop. I mean, I'm in Dallas. They were having flooding in Houston because they were having to release the water from the lakes here, and it was flowing down and flooding Houston. It was awful. But 2 weeks after it decided to stop raining, because we got like normal June temperature, they all died because they had all these very shallow roots. I'm kind of hoping that doesn't happen here, because I mean, we have been getting 1 to 2 inches of rain every time it rains, but it's raining every few days. It's crazy. Needless to say, I'm not watering. And of course we have volunteer sunflowers and comfrey, and these apples are doing just fine. You see, this is my biggest one. I've got them in little things, I think. So it's put on some more flushes of flowers. I've seen bees on them, but I don't know if they're actually gonna turn into apples or not. I'm not gonna go too thoroughly through my herb bed this time, just because we've been dismantling the compost pile and it's all sitting right here, and we've got another week before we have our bulk trash pickup that I can put this out there. But we've got the rosemary. The rue has been very happy. Got a little bit of parsley and some grass growing. My French thyme is getting a little crowded out by the rosemary. We've got my spicy oregano down there and my sage. I have tried giving away sage. I usually have more success in November. And then we've got lavender. I'm so excited about the lavender. And the rose. I'm still fighting fungal disease, but I've gotten so many roses off this. I have enough dried rose petals now that I can make rose jelly. I just need to get motivated to do it. But look at all I've been harvesting a few lavender every few days, and I might actually have enough for a nice little batch of lavender tea for the winter. And the grapes over here are going crazy, and I've got some morning glories trying to come in. And yes, I still have this sitting here in the way of the pathway. My wife got a Snoopy for the top. This is supposed to be the trellis for my Malabar spinach. I knew I'd remember it eventually. I'm having so many trouble with words these days. Hopefully I'm not getting old too soon. But I have to get the potatoes out. It's been a little, having dry days to be able to pull potatoes has been a bit of a challenge. But you can get a different perspective of all those zinnias and peppers and grapes over here. I mean, this bed is full. I probably should avoid planting zinnias next year. I'll probably have more than enough volunteers, and Bear's, of course, going crazy over probably a squirrel. He really does his best to protect the garden from squirrels. He thinks the birds are fine. But that's about it this year. So far, it is gorgeous. The weather's perfect because it's not raining right now, and it's also not 90 degrees. We haven't had a lot of those yet. Yeah, it's been a weirdly lovely June so far. We were well into the 90s like halfway through May last year, and we're occasionally hitting the lower 90s. It's been nice. My onions did horrible, but it looks like everything else is doing really well so far, especially the sage. I really do need to find some people to take some sage. If you're in the north of Dallas area and want some sage, let me know. I'll happily give you some sage. So this is this morning's harvest. I did harvest later in the day, but as of the end of the day on June 7th, I have 114.7 pounds harvested from the garden. If you're enjoying these videos,
Please like and subscribe. See how the garden keeps developing through the year.